Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Signal here, welcome back to our video. So in this one, we're going to try and rank the best free-to-play teams, and we're going to try our best to basically narrow down for you guys what setup, what lineup, and what characters you should be looking for as free-to-play. Now, there's a few mentions about this video. Free-to-play means that we're going to make sure that we don't include any teams that rely on the pay-to-win artifacts. It doesn't mean that we're going to put characters in there that you get easily at the start of the game, including, let's say, Atlantean Storm or Aquaman. Because while you can get some characters easily, in this game there's a huge difference between characters that actually do well and characters that don't do well. So I'm sorry, but your random gold character that you get from a hero chest will sadly not be on this list. And yeah, with that being said, teams should usually be made of 3 people, but a lot of teams on this list will be made of 2 people. But that's because the third member is going to depend on the situation you find yourself in. So you have to think a bit for yourself there. Over here at S tier, we're going to have the Raven League of Anarchy team. So the Raven League of Anarchy team is going to be amazingly good and is going to basically one-shot anything in the game. You're eventually gonna get to a point, though that's gonna be most likely far off for a lot of people, where even as free-to-play you're going to be able to do 2 billion damage without Raven in the League of Anarchy team, at which point you should shift Raven to the Manta team, and the Manta team will also most likely do 2 billion, but that's not gonna be happening for a lot of people for a long time, so we're not gonna put that option here. I'm just trying to have one single copy of every character. I could have did multiple copies of the characters, but then we would have like 5 variations of League of Anarchy. So you get the point. Next up, I think that this is the only team that should be left. Let's actually make a new one. Make a row above. Let's call this double S tier. This is not to devalue anything that we'll put in the S tier, but this is simply nothing. The rest of the teams here are nothing compared to this team. This is just so much stronger. Then at the S tier, we're going to have the Deathstroke, Implant Suckman, Dr. Fate team. Again, there's a lot of variations here. If you're not using Batman who laughs with Batman on the ground, you can put him with Deathstroke. If you don't have Deathstroke, you don't have to put him in the team. Yeah, and there's just a lot of ways to do this. You can use Implant Suckman separately if you need to clean up a fight that has, let's say, 100 million damage, because you can easily do that without relying on Nora's Snow Globe and percentage health. But generally speaking, this is how you're going to be using this team. Also, we have the limitations here to kind of delimitate the teams. We're going to also have the Manta team. The Manta team is going to be an A tier, sadly. Like, if you drop this down over here, this is gonna be an S tier. But if we assume you're using Raven League of Anarchy team, then this team is going to be good enough, but not as good as some other teams, because this, first of all, requires a lot of investment. A lot of investment to get to this point where it does well, because Manta, my boy Manta, skills his passive all the way up to 6 stars. Any lower than 6 stars and he will perform worse than he would at 6 stars, obviously. But once you get this team going, will be definitely a reliable team that would deal quite a decent amount of damage, though percentage health damage is still far more reliable, so I don't think they're worth giving a higher tier. We're going to have only 2 characters here, because this is going to be a team that relies on situational characters. It could have Vixen, it could have Classic Wonder Woman, or a lot of things from this list. I put Vixen and Wonder Woman with Mr. Freeze because he was lonely, but there's a lot of shifting around. Just be aware of that. Then we have Batwoman the Drowned. If anything can compete with the low amount of investment required for the percentage health damage teams, is definitely Batwoman the Drowned. She might even be worth S tier. Yeah, bro, let's give her S tier. She's definitely worth S tier. It's gonna be the team that I gave her, but there's definitely room for variations here. You can replace Batman Who Laughs with Arkham Knight Batman. If you don't have him, you can do a lot of other things that will do a little bit less for you, but will be good enough, like putting Classic Wonder Woman in there, putting let's say even Vixen in there, putting even Shazam in there. You can do that to get a little bit of attack. There's a lot of room for replacement and switching around in this team, but this team will do amazingly well for you with amazingly low investment, and when they are at peak performance and maxed out, they are going to hit that 2 billion damage in soul rates. Next up, we have the Batman Ninja team. The Batman Ninja team is going to be, I guess, A tier for the free-to-play side of things. They got the Puppet of Zatanna, and that will definitely bolster their damage in rates where you can get passive stats from other artifacts, but that will scale just as much as it scales. It's not gonna infinitely scale because it's a flat amount of attack at the end of the day. So yeah, I think A tier is a proper place for them. They're definitely not going to be as reliable as percentage shell damage. We're going to have Zatanna here. And this is it. This is the Zatanna team over here. This is how you're going to use Zatanna. I mean, you're not going to use her solo, but what you do with Zatanna, because she doesn't have a team yet, and this is most likely going to change once we get more Justice Dark characters, you're just going to slot her into one of the budget teams and deal her percentage shell damage, and then do a little bit more damage with the budget teams. It's not really worth at the moment to give her a separate team, just drop her wherever you want, drop her, and she's gonna bring that percentage health damage. Next up we have the Mr. Freeze team. I'm gonna give this B. B is a decent spot. So Mr. Freeze was not even worth getting, and it's still not worth going out of your way to get for the free-to-play side of things. But if you have him anyway, he's going to do decently well. Nah, I think this worth budgets. So it does do a little bit of damage, but the problem is you need Mr. Freeze, you're going to be reliant on his star rating, and you're going to be reliant on getting his gears from a chest. Let's leave it at B tier, but look, this is a team you should use if you do already have a Mr. Freeze, without trying to get a Mr. Freeze. If you don't, then don't try to do this team. But with Zatanna's puppets, he's viable somewhat for free-to-play, because you can get the machine gun special 2 spam, which can deal some reasonable amount of damage, though it's not gonna be anything spectacular or out of the ordinary. And also at B tier, we're going to have the Sarabanshi team. Reliable enough team will eventually get outscaled, like when you get to the point in the game where you have literally every character, every team. You might not always find a place for Sarabanshi, but it's going to be very reliable in the early parts of the game, and it's going to be a reliable cleanup team for later parts of the game, even if you slot it out of your top teams. And now in terms of budgets, those are going to be kind of budgets teams. First up, we have the Justice team. This is also going to be, though we put Silver Banshee at B tier, and Justice team does kind of somewhat the same damage as Silver Banshee. Okay, look, let's give them B tier. I'm generous today. Let's give them B tier, because they do have a very good synergy with Dark Mel cards, and they can do reasonably well, kind of at level Silver Banshee, so I guess this is okay to do. They're gonna have only 2 characters, because you're going to pick from the situational ones. Usually how you do is you go Silver Bane when you don't fight targets that... I guess you can put this man here, and with the mention that you can switch him out for Silver Bane if you fight fights that don't have armor and you don't need the armor pierce, and if you need the armor pierce on basic attack hits, you can slot in Aquaman. Now, budget teams, multiverse team, though keep in mind, you can just do this if you already have the multiverse team. You shouldn't try and get the multiverse team for the sake of using them with Zatanna, but if you have the multiverse team anyway, you just drop Zatanna in there and you deal damage with Zatanna, and then you switch to using them, deal damage in the other part of the fight. That's something you can do. Collector is going to be a budget team. It's going to basically switch the slot with Manta if you don't have Manta and you just don't want to get him right now. You can use Collector with Brainiac and will do reasonably well. It's gonna do at points more damage than some of the teams that are here on B tier, but at the end of the day, he's a budget team because he's a replacement for something. That's how I see things. He's a replacement for Manta, and Manta is a better version of him. So even though he's going to go toe-to-toe with the teams on this tier in terms of damage, he's still gonna be a budget pick that you're going to eventually replace. We have Lord Joker, who's also going to be a budget pick. Basically, how you use him, you replace Catwoman with him. and so you're going to get some decent amount of damage, because Catwoman is going to be the best suited character, generally speaking, at dealing damage out of the Batman Ninja team, but she doesn't really provide herself anything to the team in terms of dealing damage, so you can use anything to rely on the passives of Grodd and Joker, and because you might not have gears for a while for Batman Ninja Catwoman, because you need to basically drop them from league rates, then you might want to use Lord Joker for a while, because you can get him in the arena seasons and find him in his gears in the arena store. That's something you can definitely do. And now I'm gonna put this man at situational. I'm not even gonna give him budget status. So what's the situation? The situation is you literally have no damage dealers and you randomly got this man from the arena season. You might as well deal some damage with him. It's not gonna be a damage dealer. And yeah, the rest of the situational characters, I'm going to quickly explain them. So we have 8 Green Arrow. It's going to be useless in most scenarios, but very good when you actually need to keep the enemy at low power. For example, when a boss Brainiac or something is going to kill you with super move, or a dark side boss. So you can definitely use this man for power drain. Kind of the best character for power draining and power locking the enemy in the game. Arkham Knight Batman is gonna be slotted over here instead of Raven if you can do 2 billion damage with this team as it is. Or can be slotted here if you're missing Batman Collapse, but somehow you get Arkham Knight Batman to increase the dot damage of Batman on the ground, because he's got basically the same passive as Jones to your Green Lantern, but the passives do stack. So he's also gonna be situational. Emerald Green Lantern also situational because he's got a passive that gives you some bonuses on tag-ins, and one of those bonuses is going to be stun on basic attack hits. If you're able to get that, then you're going to be able to stun the enemy with your basic attack hits, obviously, self-explanatory. Why would you need that? If you're fighting an enemy that has super block, the thing where they do shield that reflects damage, reflective shield, I think that's the better term. You can put this man in the team and stun the enemy with basic attack hits, and they're not gonna be able to use the shield while they're stunned. So that's how you take advantage of that. Hellboy is going to be the budget's way to survive fights that have hazard dot damage. This man heals instead of taking damage from the hazard dot damage on the ground, so with very low investment he can tank easily fights like Phase 3 in League Raids, or Lord Joker in Soul Raids, or anything else that has hazards on the ground and you're struggling with. Horrific Scarecrow, he's not gonna bring any damage, but he brings sometimes convenience. I do slot him from time to time with the Kinflan Sakuman team, or with the Deathstroke team. So he can do something, makes the enemy's specials cost more, giving you more room to maneuver and more room with the clones until the enemy actually has enough energy for a special. Joker is gonna be situational. The situation is you don't have gears for Harley, in which case you're going to slot Joker in. I guess I'm gonna put Joker here, so people basically understand that you're going to fluctuate between those two damage dealers. So Harley is the better choice, but if you don't have Harley or her gears, it's understandable, and Joker will do very, very well himself, especially with Raven. We have this thing. Use the multiverse team. You don't want your multiverse team to die, you pop her in. She's gonna give them a lot of defense. And you might think, oh, it's a situational character for a budget team. Wow, so great, shouldn't have even been on the list. First of all, Black Adam is on the list. Second of all, this team can be used at cleanup fights. A lot of times I have had some cleanup fights that were dangerous fights that had the chance of killing my team, and at the same time they were very low on health. So what I would do would be use the multiverse team plus multiverse Supergirl, because she gives them defense and 50% damage reduction if they are below a certain amount of health. So very useful in that regard. Red Hood, extend the duration of the fights. Let's put Classic Quandrum in that situational, because she can be slotted in a lot of our teams, and let's put Red Hood with Mr. Freeze, because they do synergize pretty well. Praetor Batman, replacement for Arkham Knight Batman if you're not using Raven with the League of Anarchy team. Can also be a decent combo builder for Sarah Banshee if you want to use him that way. Bro, why is Swamp Thing here? I swear I did not do this on purpose. I swear. This guy is also situational. He's going to give you a little bit of a shield. We can drop him here, actually. He is going to give you a little bit of a shield that's going to basically allow you to combo and chop the enemy without knowing how to combo and chop, because you're not going to get staggered by the enemy's hits. So yeah, that's going to be pretty decent. Shazam also situational. He gives you base attack. Base attack is not the best thing in the world because it's going to be just the base attack of your character without counting for gear attack or without counting for artifact attack, but it's something and it's better than nothing. I guess you can use this man with Zatanna. Let's just drop him here, I guess. Helps out Zatanna a lot, actually. He's Green Lantern on steroids, but only for Zatanna. Bane gives you damage on basic attack hits, can be slotted in the Justice team, as I said, or in the Manta team. A lot of options with that. Atrocitus can be slotted in a lot of teams, grants a lot of convenience when you're using Nora Snow Globe teams because his power still helps you out to power generate. We're not gonna put that man anywhere. But yeah, this is the list. Like, look, if you just skip to the end of the video to screenshot this and be like, ho ho ho, Sigil, I got you. Didn't watch the whole video, but still got the list. I don't think it makes that much sense without me explaining it, okay? And I'm sorry that's not the case, but this is kind of the best way to explain this that I was able to come up with. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye!